This is a series of warm-up activities that checks a lot of boxes when it comes to promoting good movement throughout the entire body. If you can, perform controlled nasal breathing the whole time. We start with walking knee pulls. The two most important cues are, number 1, to keep your hips behind your shoulders by leaning the trunk slightly forward, and number 2, to maintain heel pressure as you lift, then pull your thigh to your chest. You should feel hamstring on the down leg and hip flexor on the lifting leg. Next are inchworms. The most important cue here is to keep your knees straight. If your knees remain straight, you should feel more of a side-to-side shifting in your hips and pelvis as you step your feet up. Also, keep your elbows slightly unlocked and let your heels sink down to get a nice calf stretch. Next up are bear crawls. Start in an all-four position with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips, with your knees elevated a few inches off the ground. As you crawl, your spine should remain parallel to the floor without sagging down. In other words, keep your chest bone away from the ground without crunching your abs. Also, keep your elbows slightly unlocked and think about reaching with your shoulder blades to avoid pinching in the front of your shoulders. Next, we have alternating hinges. The big cues here are to reach your butt back, keep your knee over your shoelaces, and your nose over your big toe. Your spine should be in a neutral position during these, so not overly flexed and not overly extended or arched. When you hinge back, ensure that your butt does not drop down as it shifts back. Your sit bone should essentially remain the same height throughout your hinge. As you hinge down, you should feel a nice stretch in your back pocket, and as you stand back up, you should feel your hamstring and glute engaged together. After alternating hinges, we have alternating lunges. For these, maintain a neutral or slightly flexed spine and bring your elbow towards your forward knee as you lunge down. This will turn your rib cage and you should feel a similar stretch in the back pocket region of your hip. When you hinge, your hips stay the same height. However, when you lunge, you should feel a level change as you lower down into your lunge and then push and raise back out of it. The last movement in this series is the world's greatest stretch. Start in a push-up position. From there, step one foot up next to your hand and place your back knee down on the ground. From there, take your hand closest to your forward foot and rotate it up to the ceiling. Do not over-rotate your hand. Think fingertips to the ceiling. After the rotation, step your foot back to push-up position and repeat this sequence on the other side.